Jan Broders, welcome to the podcast. I'm going to let you, as we kick this thing off, give people the proper pronunciation for your name. We were talking about this earlier. That you got to get some of the different vocal cords that I do not have. Can you share with people before we even dive in the correct pronunciation of your name?
Yeah, so in German we would say Jan Broders.
Okay,
Yeah,
beautiful.
so it's like it's somewhere at the back of the throat.
Okay, cool. And
Yeah.
as we kick this thing off, I was wondering if you could give people kind of a little bit of a background as far as like, what did life look like for little Jan as you were growing up just as a kid?
Yeah. Okay, so little Jan, it's a good one. So little Jan didn't really have any worries in the world, didn't care about anything, just doing his thing and playing a whole bunch of tennis. Basically, I grew up on tennis courts. That's where you would find me. And sometime late at night, my mom would call the tennis courts, like the clubhouse, and say, well, can you please send my son home because it's dark and he sort of needs to come home. And
Yeah.
this is where I spent my life, basically. And yeah, grew up in northern Germany by the coast, just all easygoing and no big worries. We'll probably touch a little bit on that. There was a big sort of moment happening was divorce of my parents when I was like 6 or 7. That impacted my life later on again, which also led to a bunch of other events. But other than that, just a little kid playing tennis and going to the beach, right? And,
Not a bad life.
Not a bad life. No, totally. All good. And yeah, I can continue a little bit like what it turned into, especially in the sense of finding direction. Yeah. So in terms of finding direction, so okay, just playing tennis, being a tennis coach at some point, making a lot of money for a young kid, like having a job that paid sometimes 50 euros an hour or so, and of course, so it was really good. I was just really happy with that. Okay, I'm a tennis coach. And there was this thing at some point, oh wait, maybe that's not a proper career, right? Maybe you can't just be a tennis coach, and you have to do something proper. And so that sort of creeped in maybe at around 17, 18 or so, around when we graduated from high school in Germany. And so it was this big thing, okay, no, I need to have a career. Like I cannot do that, what I'm doing here all the time.
Right.
And it was a fun time because I was playing tennis more than going to school, and we play on clay courts in Germany, which are those red courts. Like the French Open, maybe if you watch this, red clay. And so at school, sometimes you would know what classroom I was in because I was leaving this trail of like red footsteps.
That's hilarious.
Because I would come from the tennis courts, like maybe do an hour of math and go back and work and play tennis and stuff. And so yeah, and then there was this whole idea, no, you need to do something proper. And I find this valuable for the whole finding direction conversation. Because I didn't know what is something proper, right? It's just like, okay, I have to have a career. And then, okay, when you have a career, you probably wear a suit and a tie. That was my definition of when you have a proper career, that's sort of what you do. And without really giving it any deeper thought or exploration.
Totally.
Yeah. And then, around graduation time, you attend a bunch of parties and everybody's like, hey, let's go, hang out. And we'll all go to university at some point. And so I was hanging out at a friend's party, and 3 a.m. in the morning or something, a guy who graduated a year earlier says, oh, Jan, I'm working in a hotel now in Munich, which is like southern Germany, but it's amazing. I think that's what you should be doing as well. And there I was like, with no direction. It's like, oh, okay, so that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay, cool. Being a little bit drunk, it's like, okay, that's what I do, right? And that sort of said the direction for my life for the next this weird moment, this weird conversation, like at 3 a.m. in the morning over a bunch of beers. It's like, okay, in hindsight, anybody wanting to make like major life decisions, like try to avoid the 3 a.m. in the morning.
After a couple of beers.
Yeah.
So I think I think one thing that's interesting too that you said there is it's like you kind of began to ask yourself like, what's a proper career? Yeah. And I think it's like for anybody listening to this, I think that's such a powerful question anybody can ask themselves is like, what is your actual definition of like a proper career? Like something that is maybe respectable? Is it something where you make a good income? Like you said, is it something where you wear a suit? Because it's like just alone by having a definition or changing that definition, like you'll change your entire life. And I know as we dig a little bit deeper into your journey, it seems like you've definitely changed your definition of that. But kind of like, let's say we fast forward into your life a little bit and you say, all right, 3 a.m., had a few beers, guys said go into hotels. So I'm going to go into that. And all of a sudden, like, you don't just go into it, you go full into it, right? You get accepted into this program where 6 people in Europe are accepted from it. You're working at these major hotels. And kind of walk us through, if you would, the moment where you dove into that field. You're working your face off, right? I saw, 16, 18, sometimes 20-hour days. And you kind of had like a moment where, I mean, you can expand upon it a little bit, but you're at the hotel and like a major event happens that basically massively changes your direction again.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you said, there wasn't really any personal definition or reflection on what proper career, what success would mean. It was just really, okay, like the pretty generic, commonly accepted maybe one of, okay, wearing a suit, like going to work, like with a briefcase, making money, having like a good sounding title on your LinkedIn profile that you can change every, whatever, 9 to 12 months or something, hopefully. And so, yeah, as I said, I dove into hospitality, like hardcore, not just, okay, I'm going to go into it, but really, really worked so much. And then I learned about this program that you mentioned that I was accepted into. I learned about it and I thought, okay, this is like these are like the best that get into it. And okay, so you have to study hotel management in order to get in. So I did that in between, studied just to sort of have, I didn't know what it was like, just this imagination, okay, this is a proper career, this is a proper career.
Yeah.
As you say, I got into it, worked a lot, as you say, 12, 16 hours. I think the longest was like 26 hours or so, and it was just insane. It wasn't every week, but it could happen. And then I was 27. I'd worked in 9 countries by that time, so really super mobile, also very unstable in the sense of not having really strong roots or any social support around me, and just working. And then I'm going to work one morning. I remember it was Monday, the 12th of March. And so I'm going by tram in Prague, Czech Republic, with this little tram. I'm going to work. Already feels sort of weird. Okay, this feels weird today, and I'm not feeling well. Right, sort of tight chest, and not feeling so good. Might be because I only slept 2 hours, but still feeling different than all those days before. Right. Okay, I want to go to the office. I cross the hotel lobby, which is this massive 5-star hotel, 100 rooms, beautiful big marble lobby. I walk through it and I just get this massive, I thought it was a heart attack at the time, just collapsing in the middle of the place, and really throwing this suit that I always wanted to wear. Like, I was wearing a suit at that time, taking my jacket off, taking my tie off, sort of half undressing because I couldn't breathing, and it was such pain in my chest, and took my shoes off. I remember like laying half naked in this beautiful 5-star lobby, and it's so funny, like taking off my suit, right? That I actually worked so much towards finally putting on, and ambulance was called, and just like this whole big dramatic exit, so to say. And I don't know if you have those in the US too, but when you get a driver's license, you do those first 8 sort of courses or so. They tell you what to do if there's an emergency. In Germany, they have those, and they always tell you, if somebody is laying there like an injured person, like, don't look down on them, but sort of kneel or like get on the same level. I just remember that. And at that day, I knew why they would tell you that, because I was laying there. There was like 10 people looking down at me and sort of just like shaking their head, like, I'm not sure. No.
Oh no.
And so this was a big moment, and there was this really weird, like within this moment, this really weird moment where it was thinking, I don't know if I was thinking, it was thinking, okay, either you're going to change your life completely or you're going to die, like right now. And both felt like a relief. Both felt quite, okay, sounds good. Like either option sounded like a relief.
It's better than what I have now, sort of thing.
And I didn't know that it was that bad. I thought I was on a really good trajectory towards being super successful. And that was almost shocking. I was like, oh, shit, I feel relieved, but that's not a good sign, right? It shouldn't be a relief to have an option. Okay, maybe you die. So, okay, whatever. It should be like, oh no, please don't. Let me continue with what I'm doing. And that really opened my eyes. And obviously I survived. And I went on and did that.
Yeah. So from there, then, like, I think it's especially like in the US, it's such a culture of like work, go, achieve, right? It's like all those things, a little bit more individualistic of a society. And so I think there's a lot of people that maybe get to that point, right? Where it's like you work so hard and you kind of get to this point of like burnout, I guess you could call it. For you, a much more traumatic kind of collapsing burnout. But like from that point, how did you start to navigate like, okay, I either die, and thankfully you didn't go that route, or I change my life. So what was the path of like, I need to change my life? And so what did you start to do to change your life?
Yeah. So let me just quickly add on that what you said, like, burnout and collapsing burnout. And one thing I remember, one of my friends from hotel asked me, like, what happened? Like, did you see this coming? And I was like, oh no, I had no idea. It was crazy. Just one morning I collapsed. And that's like the sort of like the final destination. But there are so many symptoms along the way that I never listened to. And I feel that we as a society never listen to because we've accepted them as part of life. I find that important when you speak about burnout, that it doesn't happen overnight, like never. Your body desperately sends you so many signals. And for me, it started during my studies at university already, that I had this feelings of anxiety. And again, anxiety has come to be normal. Oh, whatever, take some bit of CBD oil, right, against anxiety. As if it was just a normal thing that you do. Like, it's not. A human being isn't meant to be doing that stuff because anxiety is just part of life. It's not in a natural way of life. So just like for everybody listening to, like, listen to what your body basically tells you. I think if we're somehow connected to our body, it's like, okay, not being able to sleep at night and having to have a drink to sort of calm down, it's normal. Everybody does that after work, right? It's advertised. Hey, after work drinks, 2 for 1, blah, blah, all this stuff. Yeah. It's normal. It's not. You can do that, obviously, right? Whatever, go get drunk, but not to calm down. Like, if you need that in order to relax, okay, time to find direction, time to listen to your podcast, time to dig it deep.
Re-navigate, like, where am I? Where do I want to go?
Yeah, so I think it's important for me to share that really there's so many symptoms along the way, and there's like all those burnout models of like 12 stages of burnout. And some things, like up to, I think, stage 6, in my opinion, everything is normal for us. Not being able to sleep, withdrawing socially, feeling of anxiety, prioritizing work over social events and stuff. And that's just normal. That's life in 2021. Right? And I think this is not what life should be like. Okay, so that's just to add on it. And then something really, really interesting happened, and I would have never thought that it would. Funny thing was, I called my boss at night, okay, doctor, blah, 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 rush to the hospital, all this, right? Okay. Then being released, they said, yeah, it's all going to be fine. And then I called my family. My mother was in Africa working like in a social project. I didn't know she was there because I was just so immersed in work. I knew she would be going there at some point, but it's sort of a thing you should be knowing about your mother when she embarks on a trip to Africa, like whatever. So I called my dad. I called my sister. She calls my dad and said, well, you probably want to sort of check in with Jan and see what's up, right? And he rushes to Czech Republic from Germany and said, yeah, you're coming with me, right? Okay. So I'm taking 2 weeks off. The hotel just said, well, take 2 weeks off, whatever, like take care of yourself. Yeah. Okay, amazing. 2 weeks sounds like a good time. I'll probably be good by then. So I thought at the time. And so I go to Germany and I continue having all these panic attacks all the time. Like driving on the highway, I'm panicking. Like I'm sweating, my heart is racing. Okay, I can't drive anymore. Okay, that sucks. I want to go to a supermarket, want to get food. Yeah. I'm panicking because there's so many people. Okay, I can't go to the supermarket anymore. I want to go by bus because I can't drive. I get panic attacks on the bus. Okay, so my life is really limited at age 27. I feel like a 4-year-old again. And I'm no longer that person I aspire to be, this super successful suit-wearing guy. And my dad and his wife, they had booked this fasting retreat, like healing fasting, where you don't eat for a week or so, or like not intermittent fasting, you don't eat for a day, but you don't eat like for like 5 days. Yeah, proper fasting. Yeah. And it's like the spiritual thing, and they were into it. And I said, okay, yeah, whatever. I have to come with because I can't be home alone, right? Yeah, I can't survive. Like I can eat cans for a week and sit in my bedroom or in his bedroom. Like I didn't have a home anymore at that point because I lived in Prague. But they say, you're coming with. Okay, so we're driving to this like super spiritual woo-woo retreat center. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Like, this is, like, can it get any worse? I thought my low point was collapsing in the lobby. Now I'm among all these weirdos and hippies, and they're not eating. And I hated it. Okay, so I was sitting there in my room, just hating life and judging all those long-haired hippies. And then after a few days, I noticed, okay, I'm the only one eating. They don't eat, but they're crazy happy. They dance with naked feet in the grass when the sun rises, and they do their tea ceremonies, and they're laughing, and they go running. Like the one guy who runs like half marathon every day without eating. He's just full of energy.
Good.
And here I am on my high horse, like, okay, those weirdos, and I'm so cool. And that for me was the big realization. Okay, I have nothing figured out. I thought I had.
Yeah.
But there's more to life than what I thought it was. And I was really intrigued by how can these people be so happy, and they are so weird, and they're not doing anything what I was doing. They're not doing anything right in terms of conventional success and everything. But they're happy. I'm not. I'm miserable. And so, that was the big realization for me. Okay, I need to change my set of values or determine them for the first time in life. And there was like another interesting situation during this week. My dad said, well, why don't you talk to one of the retreat hosts? So, okay, she's weird too, but I will.
Yeah,
so
you're shifting a little bit at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And she does this like meditation or this guided thing with me. And it felt like the sun was shining in my body. And I was just so energized and so happy. I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know that feeling, right, from life. And I wasn't even able to hold that sort of positive energy. And then I had to go running and go cycling to sort of get rid of all that energy because it felt so uncomfortable. It was so good. It felt uncomfortable at the point. And so that really opened myself up to the whole idea of personal development, spirituality, meditation was the big thing for me in the beginning. It's like, oh my God, like whatever they're doing, I'm going to do that as well because it feels so good and they're happy, I'm not. It's time for me to change some things. Yeah.
Love that.
So that was a long answer to your question.
Yeah. So what have you done to, because at this point, 27 years, you've gone down this path, kind of values are work hard, make good money, dress up in a suit. This is what success is. And now you go to this retreat where a bunch of hippies, you're like, what the heck? They don't have any of that, but they're extraordinarily like happy, energy rich, like in such a beautiful state in their life. I'm curious, like, what was one of the big things you took away from that allowed you to go back into like the Czech Republic and go back to kind of in the next phase of your life, but keep this sort of like happiness and this energy? Like, what was something you took from that and continued to keep into your life?
Yeah. So the biggest tool like that I first took was meditation. Was just to be still for a moment and so notice, okay, what's going on. And I didn't know like how busy my mind was. I never sat still like ever. I was just, like you said, go all the time. So that was like the biggest tool. I was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. I want to do this all the time. And just like mindset wise, or it was, okay, I have no idea what I want in life. Like none. I was disillusioning. It was frustrating. I have no idea what I want. Like I've followed this idea of becoming a general manager and running my own 5-star hotel. But I don't even know if I want that. Maybe I do, and then I will continue, but I don't know if I want that. So I was really asking myself, what do I want? And there was another funny situation in a like therapy session. I went to therapy and all those things, and I went to a clinic for 2 months. So I was like, diving deep into all that. And the lady was asking me, what's your favorite tree? And I found this question so stupid at the time. I thought, well, you're wasting time, you're wasting money, you're stupid, you're weird, like I'm so cool. But I had no answer. I didn't know what my favorite tree was because I never asked myself, what do I want? What do I like? And so up to the day, I was like, what's my favorite tree? What's my favorite food? What do I want? Like apart from what everybody else wants and what I think is good, what do I want? And I think that's the big question I took away for myself. And what do I want? Ask myself for the very first time. In all areas of life.
Right. And there's like this, I was obviously reading through your story and all this before this, and there's one quote that you said that like really stuck out to me, and it says, burnout, stress, feeling unhappy, all that is the price you pay for living someone else's life.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so I'm curious if you kind of expand upon that, or for example, I know you work with a lot of clients and you kind of get them to a place of like, and this is one of the biggest things that I try to help people achieve as well, is it's like, don't live a life that is just successful. Like, because if you're successful and you're miserable, that's nothing, right? But if you can be successful and learn how to be happy and fulfilled at the same time, like that's really the goal. And if you're happy and fulfilled, by definition, you are successful, So like, what would you say is really like the amount you see people like have the stress, the burnout, all these things, because they're living someone else's life? And then how does someone like make the shift to figuring out how to live their own life?
Yeah. I feel the first thing really is to realize what sort of set of values, what definition am I chasing right now? Because we all, I think most of us were totally unaware. Like I was totally unaware of what I was chasing. Like, okay, right. Where am I actually going? What do I think is success? Because we have, I think, a commonly accepted definition of success, and it's mainly around job title, money, influence, things like that. And most of us were not aware that this is what success means for us. Okay, that's the first thing I'd say. And then the next one really is, okay, but what would a successful life for me look like? Like, what does a successful relationship with my partner look like? Like, if I want to have success in that area, do I want to see that person every day? Or maybe not. Like, do I want to be with a man or a woman? Do I want to, have children, not have children, family? Like, all those things, really, all areas of our lives. What would success mean here? And sort of go towards that, because I feel by default we're all just chasing this one commonly accepted definition of success that we never really questioned or that we never agreed on. Like there never was a deal made. Okay, I graduate. I agree to this definition of success. Let me chase that, and then because then we would be extremely happy if this is what we really believed in. And for some people it may be true. It's like, yeah, for me, 100%, having a lot of money, having a big car. Blah blah. Like, this is what I want in life. That's all I want. Nothing else. Okay, cool. Please be my guest. Go ahead. Like, if this was true for you, you'd be extremely happy if you reach it. But it's not true for many of us.
Yeah, and I think one thing too that's like, sometimes at least what I've seen with people is we ask ourselves, it's like, what do I really want for my career? What do I really want for my relationship? And sometimes our brain almost goes to this place of, well, I don't know what the heck I want, right? Like. That's just the way we've trained our mind to think. But I think a powerful tool that someone can use if they're doing these things, just like you're suggesting, like what does a relationship really look like to me that lights me up? It's like, if you ask yourself a question often enough with enough intensity, eventually the way our brains are wired is we're wired to answer questions, right? And so if we can, like, as a simple example, like take sticky notes, like for all that we care, and put them around your house that say like, what do I want in my career? What do I want in my relationship? What do I want in my health? Like, if you put those somewhere where you see them often enough, or you put it as your phone background, or you just continuously ask yourself that, after enough times of asking yourself that, you're going to have massive clarity, because that is literally the way we are wired as human beings, is we ask for something and then we give ourselves an answer eventually.
Yeah. And what I love doing for myself, also what I love playing with clients are just like doing experiments. I would call them games, experiments, because sometimes we also don't know an answer because we just, you don't know what you don't know, right? You have, okay, I only know this way of living. Like, I only knew one way of life and work. And there were so many moments where I was like, oh my God, when I left that, and I said, oh my God, really? I didn't know that existed. So I was driving somewhere. I was driving through Berlin on a Friday afternoon at 2 or so. And my mother said, oh yeah, and take, like, I don't know, plan for after work traffic or rush hour. It's like what? No, it's going to be 2 on a Friday. And I didn't know that there was rush hour at 2 because people would go into the weekend or so. I thought, because I only knew leaving work at 8, 9 p.m. or so. And it's like, oh, okay. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. And so just as an example, for sometimes we don't even know, and we need to start exploring a little bit and making experiments. Like, what do I want? And, oh, is it fun for me to, it's almost like finding a hobby. I don't know. Do I like playing football? Let me try it. All right, you go, try. Oh, didn't like it. Do I like tennis? Try.
Yeah.
Didn't like it. Oh, basketball, amazing, feels good. Okay, cool. Didn't play basketball. Right, the same with work, with life. What type of things do I enjoy in life? Sometimes we don't know because we've never asked ourselves those questions. So I love playing games with people and doing experiments and just trying things out and then noticing, oh my God, that was amazing. Like I in that meditation situation, like lighting me up. I didn't know. I couldn't have, like if somebody said, okay, what would help you to calm your mind? I could have never said meditation because I didn't know what it was.
Right.
So I needed to sort of play with it and experiment it. Yeah.
Right. So let's say someone's listening to this and they're going, I would love to play with stuff. I would love to experiment, but I've been doing this thing for X amount of years. And like at this point I'm invested. Right. And sometimes the mind plays with us. Right. And it goes, oh, I've done this for 2 years, 3 years, when in reality we have maybe 40, 50 years left of our life. But sometimes we do go into this place of, I've done this for 2 years or even 5 years or even 10 years. And we go like, I have to keep doing this. And even if I'm not happy, I'm so invested into this. And I know you speak at a lot of universities and you talk to people about, if you can figure this out in your 20s instead of unwinding it in your 40s, that's great. But let's say someone is feeling like they're in that place of, I'm so invested in this journey. I've been down this road so long. How would you say you can get them to kind of start like unwinding and shifting into this place of like,
Yeah, totally. So I feel that the biggest sort of, I wouldn't even call it mistake or just like hindrance, maybe is like a black and white view of things. It's like either or, right? Oh, I'm so invested in this. Let's say a master program or so lasts like 4 years or so. Oh, I've done this for 2 years already. I can't stop now, right? And it's like, okay, I understand that. Of course, I don't know, depending on the university and whatever, you may have spent substantial amount of money on this and all those things if you spend 2 years on it. And I feel we naturally always just think, oh, it's either this or that. And to me, that's always very limiting, just for myself, not, oh my God, they're limiting people. It's just like, oh, that to me personally feels limiting as well. You have to choose between two things and both are sort of suck because the cost on both, what you lose is so high. So I feel big, just different way of thinking there is, okay, are there other options? It's never an either or question. It's, okay, I don't like med school anymore, but I've done this for 2 years. Or maybe med school is not a good example because you would have 10 more to go. So like dropping out after 2 years is okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's okay. Let's just say whatever, like an MBA or I don't know, whatever program. But okay, there's always like another way, a middle way. Okay, can you combine those things? Or even, oh, I only know accounting, but I hate accounting. I really want to do more useful things for the world. Oh, can I do accounting for the United Nations? Like things like that. It doesn't, it's never black or white. And you can always use also the skills that you've acquired in a more meaningful way, maybe, if that is something you're contemplating. But I think the big thing really is the black or white thinking. Is, oh no, there's only two options and both suck. That really, like to me, it was a similar situation, right? I'd done this hotel training, like this boot camp German traditional training thing, 3 years, studied hotel management for 3 years. That's all I knew, right? And today I'm doing something totally different. And I'm bringing those learnings back into hospitality now. Right? Yeah. So now I'm working with the leaders from hospitality companies to talk about those things and stress management and all. So it's a really good thing. I learned all those things because I can relate very well. I know what the business looks like. So it's not lost. Right? It's never that we do anything for nothing.
Right.
And that's not a fear that, I've done everything for nothing. No, not at all.
Yeah. And it is always crazy how, like I've noticed this in my life as well, where it's like you'll do something and years later you find yourself doing something entirely different. You're like, wait a second, because I did that thing a few years ago, like it's actually helping me today. And it's like there's so many things we learn in life that are transferable to other things we're doing in life. But like you said, if we have a black and white approach where it's like, well, I do this thing and I keep these skills in this field, or I don't do this, it does limit us. And I think it also, like, it stresses you out when you're like, crap, I got two options. And like, what if I pick the wrong one? Like I'm 50% likely to mess this up, and it creates a ton of stress.
I think either or, like either or thinking situations are incredibly stressful, and they're never productive. They never lead anywhere. So if we find ourselves in that, it's like, okay, stop right now, because whatever I decide, it's just not a good question to ask. Okay, let me play with it a little bit more. Maybe I find another approach. I don't even need to continue there. Yeah, and I feel, especially to me, because I think it's been different in the US for longer, but in Germany, like my parents and all, my dad, he worked for the same company like for 25, 30 years or so. And that's normal. All like my parents in that generation, that's normal. Everybody has worked for companies for decades. I feel US maybe has been a bit more flexible already, but especially when I was in the hospitality space and was doing some hotel consulting as well, like in internships and stuff. And I was looking at all those American consulting companies and bios of the executives and also, okay, what did they do? And, like all being curious about it. And BA in whatever, history or something. And then he was the head of a hotel asset management company, like, it's like, oh, that's interesting. How did he get there? And I noticed, especially in the US, like as long as you sort of, I don't think you have to have a degree, but at least maybe something, or you just sort of work and show your interest. Right. There seem to be so many options. Like it's even if we want to make ourselves think, oh no, there's only one linear path. It's just not the case. It's just not the truth. Right. It's not even like we are inventing something crazy now here in this conversation. Oh, you can also be, it's happening. Like that. It's the reality is that careers and lives are super flexible, and so it's not even like we're trying to do something super different. Just normal. Everybody changes all the time. Just look at them.
Yeah, right? Look at the numerous amount of stories where people did one thing and then they went on to go do something. I mean, it's like it's almost like the classic story of like the college degree, where it's like so many people go to college for one thing and they do something entirely different. And it's like you put 4 years, like you said, potentially tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is crazy. And it's wild how so many people do something different. And so kind of on a different note, I have just a few more questions for you. Is one of the things that you also talk about is how you can live with really high standards and also not be stressed. And right, it's like we go back to the hotel life, right? It's like your high standard is you work hard, you put in all this effort, you create this beautiful experience for everybody that walks into the hotel, but that creates a lot of stress because you're working so hard, you're doing so much, you're putting so much pressure on yourself. So I'm curious, like, not to say that it's like a quote unquote formula, but like, what would you say you've discovered through your journey to figure out how you can live with really high standards? Because that creates a beautiful life, but also done it without having stress.
Yeah. So I think there's several things. One thing really is, again, your very own definition, right? If you have this really, let's say, okay, I want to have time with my son and with my wife, right? And that's part of my success formula. Yeah. And then it's just equally important, right? So this is part of my success. Okay, so I want to be successful in that. I'm not only successful in whatever coaching or speaking or so, but I want to be successful in that as well. So it has to happen. Right. So there's no way I can work 20 hours a day because one of my core things is I want to spend time with my son, right? So I feel that's one of the things, again, getting clear on what you want. And another story comes to mind. I was working in Finland for a little bit, and there, at some point, like first, second day, I was doing this cross-training experience, had to evaluate the hotel, blah, blah. And then the manager just like at 4 or so says, well, see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. And again, I was, wait, what? Like, is he having a half day? Like, what's going on? How can he just leave? And the hotel didn't burn down. It didn't collapse when the guy left the building, but everybody else knew what to do, and they were given responsibility, and it worked. And next day he comes happy, like comes back to office and works another 8 hours and leaves. And I didn't know, I'd never seen this, like at least 12 hours, right? Like the normal shift of a hotel manager. And so I was thinking of that many times, that, okay, so maybe we are not as important as we think we are. So just in terms of time, right? Just to be successful, success doesn't equal a lot of time. It takes effort, yes, and maybe half-hour day won't cut it for many things you want to create in life. But it's also like we are in, how do you say, like we're the only people who can deal with things, right? If we're able to delegate, and it's not only about us. right? Things still continue even if we are not there. So I always remember this guy, and he was a great role model for me now. Just thinking of him, it's like, okay. And he was a super successful hotel manager, right? Running a 5-star hotel in the capital of Finland. So I think that's a good thing to remember as well. It's not only about us. And we have to put in all the work. Again, there's this idea, okay, the more you work, the more success you will have. And it's just not true, right? And you're hindering yourself in being successful. Like I hindered myself. I was extremely unsuccessful as a hotel manager, right? I wasn't successful at all because I burned out, I collapsed. That's not a successful
not
scenario,
a winning formula,
right? So the idea of the more you work and only think about that'll lead to success, it's just not true,
right?
So in order to be successful, there needs to be relaxation, there needs to be play, there needs to be whatever. If you discover yourself working 24 hours, you're not a successful person because it's not sustainable,
right? It's like, I love the perspective you take on it. It's like the whole package, you know. It's not just like success in life isn't just your job. Like it's your health, your relationship, your family, your friends. Like it's all of those things combined. Yet we've almost been given this ideology of no, success is when you make a lot of money, you have a good position, yada yada yada. But it's like, I think that's a beautiful take on it. It's going back to what do you want?
Plus you won't be as successful if you never take breaks, right? Even if somebody says, no, like let's say financial success is my number one priority. That's all I want, Jan. Like, please, like stop talking about breaks and all that stuff. So, okay, but you're not successful. You're not as successful as you are. You're not reaching your full potential by never relaxing and looking at mental health, however you want to call it, right? You think you are because you're not taking breaks, but you could be so much more successful if you were, right? So even if somebody's saying, no, I want to be successful, stop with all that blah talk. It's like, but you're not. You could be so much more successful, right? It's as if like athletes or so, sometimes sports is a good analogy, right? Of course they rest. Of course they look for after nutrition because no, I only have to practice. I practice all day, 10 hours a day. Like, no time for water, no time to eat. It's like, go ahead, whatever. You will fail. You won't be as successful as the guy who looks after himself.
Who does all of it. Yeah. Love it. So oh, go ahead.
I think just as this really, there's this illusion of we're interfering success. We're taking away success if we look after ourselves. You know? It's not true. You're adding to success.
Right.
It's almost this as if, oh no, now I have to sacrifice all my success because Jan says so. Oh, no. I'm adding to your success.
Right. You're adding to it.
Yeah.
Love it. So, Jan, I'm curious, man. I mean, if people want to get more info on you, see what you're up to. I know you're doing a lot of really impactful things in the world. / living on a beautiful island in Spain. So I don't think people will be on Spain, but where can people find more info on you and what you're up to?
Yes, really, janbroders.com, my website. So I don't do any social media at the moment. Well, I have a LinkedIn profile, but you connect there as well. But I don't do any like social stuff at the moment. I may be doing that again, but again, it hasn't fit into my way of life the past few years. So I made that conscious decision. Again, asking yourself, what do you want? Everybody does a bunch of social media. And if you like it, it's amazing. If you don't like it, maybe do something else. Website and LinkedIn, just to get in touch would be good. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. And we'll put all that in the show notes. And one last question I have for you. This is a question we ask to every guest because we're all about helping people find direction, but doing it through action. And so I would be curious, like, what would you say is one thing someone listening to this can do in the next 24 to 48 hours to start finding direction in their life?
First thing, what we talked about would be, okay, what is a successful life? Ask yourself that question and contemplate. Maybe even ask a few people. Like if you're like, oh, I don't know, I have no idea. Okay, 24 hours, ask 5 people. What's their definition? So you get a bit of a maybe broader spectrum of ideas.
Right, get some ideas.
I think that's a really good starting point. And if you want to be like what I love, playing games or experimenting.
Yeah.
Okay, can you come up with like one game of doing something different than you have, right? What could that be? Okay, drive a different way to work, or like something that you've always done the same way. Okay, is there something you can just do differently to check, okay, maybe that's what I prefer? I feel, again, it comes down to the question, what do I want? What does success mean to you? And doing something different than you usually do. I'm not sure what that would be in somebody's life. But just so we can open our, like, how you say, the horizon of possibilities. Right? We think, oh no, this is how it has to be done. No, maybe not.
Right.
Okay.
Love
those would be like good starting points. I think it's all about figuring out what you want, like who you are, what is your way of living and working and all.
Yeah. I love it. Well, Jan, thank you so much for being here, man. Massively appreciate your wisdom and your life. And just, again, I'm on a very similar mission where it's like, how can we achieve happiness and fulfillment? And it's so cool. I mean, we could be here another hour running through your story and all the unbelievable things you're doing. But thank you so much for being here. I massively appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.